evolving workplace, staying ahead of the curve is essential. Yes, and statistics shows that everyone needs to be relevant, to remain relevant, needs to upskill, right? But here's the challenge. Even after acquiring new skills, many struggle to translate their knowledge into real-world results. And that's what this webinar today is trying to tackle. This webinar is going to address critical gap. We're going to explore the why and the how behind successfully applying newfound skills to achieve career success. Yes, so like always, we bring you the best, the cream de la cream. Today we're joined by two amazing experts who are going to help us do justice to this topic. And you bet, yeah, today I'm also joined with the amiable co-host, Mr. Tosin Olokobi, who is going to be assisting me even as we delve deeper into today's topic. As always, I'm your co-host and co-moderator, Antonia Anyao, Programs and Learning Officer of Echo Institute of Technology. And as I was introducing earlier, we're going to be talking about from theory to practice. We're going to talk about how you can put your new skills to work after upskilling. I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about upskilling yourself, the importance of gathering the relevant skills to keep you relevant in today's workspace. So that I don't just I don't get excited and just keep talking, I'm going to be passing the ball to Mr. Tosin. Mr. Tosin, what's on your mind right now? What's going through your mind even before we begin the webinar today?
All right, thank you for asking such a wonderful question. Before I answer that question, I want to say good evening to Ebodua and good evening to you.
Good evening, Elizabeth.
And I'm really looking forward, I'm looking forward to one wonderful session. So let me answer Anthony's question. Something on my mind. It is the fact session is actually the general story. We have
Okay, so we seem to have lost Mr. Luatosin due to some network difficulties. Again, we can only put in our best. There are some things that are out of our control. So while Mr. Tosin gets back on call, I'll just continue and keep the ball rolling from where he stopped. If you've been following our webinar series, you know Mr. Tosin is a big enthusiast when it comes to gender balance. Yes. And so like he was saying it's so exciting that the set today is actually balanced. We're getting the mix of both worlds today, and I'll just be going on with the webinar, and in no particular order, I'm going to be introducing our special guest for today. And before I continue, I want to thank everybody who have logged in today. So nice for you to join in. You're the reason why we keep on pushing for these free master classes every month, so that to give like a hand raising to our community. And it's so nice for you to join. We're so honored to have you on call. You can go the extra mile by sharing the link to your friends and your loved ones. Trust me, today's topic is one that everybody needs to pay attention to. Like I said, we've been hearing a lot about upskilling, but we still have the challenge of people putting these skills to work. All right, so I'm going to be introducing our panelist for today, and I'm going to start with the mighty woman in our midst. That's the beautiful Uchenna Obiora. Uchenna Obiora is the head of learning and development at Recruit Consulting Limited. Before learning and development, Uche was a business development manager for over 12 years in different sectors. Uche has a master's in industrial relations and personal management from UNILAG, and a BS in general and applied psychology. Wow. She has an learning and development master's coaching. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personal Management of Nigeria, Nigeria Institute of Training and Development, Nigeria Institute of Management, and a professional of Human Resource Certification Institute. Wow. As an HR and learning development professional, she is passionate about helping organizations build and develop their talents. Also skilled in creating and delivering customized training programs that support employee growth and development. She is a business leader whose passion, dedication, and desire to create the highest quality of work is valued and appreciated. Uche is a result-oriented human resource expert. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you no other person than Uche Obiora. Wow, amazing. Uche, it's so nice to have you on call, and your resume is so inspiring. If you could just Evolua is giving a clap. Yeah, she has such an impressive resume. So you see, that just solidifies our hope of today's webinar being so rich. So I'm just going to give Uchenna the floor to just tell us what's on our mind at the moment. Just share some thoughts that the guests can know you better.
Okay, thank you so much, Antonia, for this opportunity to be part of this discussion. So what's on my mind? When it comes to upskilling, I just don't know how you know I'm so passionate about it. You know, I love upskilling and I'm still upskilling, and I encourage people always to upskill, and that's why I'm so passionate when it comes to learning and development, because there's no end to learning. We learn continuously and we can never get tired of learning. And it shouldn't end with learning. We should also apply the acquired skills and knowledge to work. Because when we learn and we don't apply it, that means the learning is not effective. So to make learning effective, we should be able to apply the acquired skills, knowledge to work, so that others will benefit, and in the long run, it should have positive effects on the bottom line of every organization, wherever you find yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uchenna. So true to what you said. When we apply, then we get the benefits. So I'm going to be introducing our second panelist on today's call, the person of Ebimoluwa Jidonu. I hope I pronounced that properly. So he holds a Master of Science degree in Management from the University of Lagos, Akoka, and a Bachelor of Science degree honors in Marketing from Lagos State University. He is a full member of the Institute of Customer Service Nigeria, a certified MTN Nigeria trainer, and a PwC Nigerian award winner. He brings 8 years of senior learning and development experience at indigenous and global multinationals like Prince Waterhouse Coopers, Nigeria, Rome Business School, CLC Credits Bureau Limited, and McTail Consulting Group, with experiential activities that span various components of the learning and development value chain, such as designing competencies frameworks for the achievement of the organization's talent management goal, training needs analysis, curriculum development, training and facilitation, mentoring, implementing in-house training, open training, LMS, e-learning administration, and management consulting. Ebimoluwa has served on numerous capacity development committees and conferences, such as the CLC Credit Bureau and the U and Credit webinar. He was a planning committee member of the Executive Education on Family Business in Nigeria, a partnership project between Rome Business School and Professor Pat Utomi's Center for Value and Leadership. He is Just a moment, please. He is a mentor and an instructor with the e-learning and instrumental design hub. He is currently the learning and development specialist for MACTE Group, the first indigenous and learning management consulting firm in Nigeria, providing learning and development solutions to clients across Africa with a performance history of implementing learning and development solutions and consulting services for both corporate and government entities, oil and gas, FMCGs, financial services, information technology, telecoms, and so on and so on. A man with many caps. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ebun Olua. Ebun Olua, your resume is inspiring as well. You can see we brought to you the la creme of the crop, like I said earlier on. So Ebun Olua, if you just want to unmute and just share with us your thoughts at the moment.
All right, thank you so much, Antonia, and beautiful evening to everyone on the call, for those on the Zoom call and those watching on other social media platforms. It's a privilege to be part of this conversation. And also, I want to recognize the co-facilitator, Madam Bushina, for the anticipated conversation that we're going to be having today. I must say that learning development is an interesting field. I think we always have something in common, and that is the passion. I know Madam Bushina mentioned passion earlier on. So anything that has to do with learning development that comes in different forms, either mentoring, coaching, webinar platforms like this, in-class lectures, any conversation that involves upskilling. It's always an interesting conversation, and I look forward to having a robust conversation here today. For as many on the call, please, let's be open, let's interact, and let's see some of the new things that we need to actually uncover when it comes to reskilling and upskilling. So once again, thank you so much, Antonia, and thanks to the entire team.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Mr. Oluwatosin is on with us again. Mr. Tosin, so nice of you to join us once more.
Yeah, thank you for holding on for me. Sorry, it's my network. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tosin. So ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from the horse's mouth, we've learned, we've also been reassured by their so many investments. We can see from our speakers that they've put in a lot of work in upskilling themselves individually. So we're going to be learning, we're in capable hands today, and we're going to have an amazing time throughout this journey of discovering how to implement and to put into practice all that we've learned in upskilling ourselves. All right, so I'm just going to read a quick synopsis of today's webinar just to help us grasp more what our speakers are going to be talking about. The future of work demands a skilled workforce, and a recent report by the World Economic Forum estimates that more than half of all workers will need reskilling by 2025, which is just around the corner, to keep pace with technology advancement. This underscores the critical need for upskilling initiatives. So, however, a critical gap exists between acquiring new knowledge and applying it effectively in real-world work scenarios. So, this webinar is going to tackle these challenges, and with that, we'll be going into the panel's discussion. We're going to be asking our panelists some questions. So before we proceed with the question segment, and throughout this webinar, if you have questions around the platform, our community, kindly just post it in our community. We have the beautiful Bimpe, our beautiful social media manager, who is here with us. We also have our teammates also, who are going to be helping us getting these questions and dropping it on the chat box for us to answer that, to give our speakers so they can attend to these questions. So the first question I'm going to be asking each panelist, and if you can just do justice to this within 2 minutes, if you can just briefly discuss to the importance of upskilling to stay above the curve. So would we go with, let's follow morals. We say ladies first all the time. So I think
that's
we
fine.
should
That's fine.
yeah, I think we should go with the lady first. So Uchenna, if you could just do justice to that question.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Antonia. So looking at the importance of upskilling, with the evolving business landscape, it's important one upskills to remain adaptable, to adapt to the changing and evolving business landscape. And why do we need to adapt? Because we want to remain relevant. You want to be in top in the business. You want your business to grow, because without adapting and evolving with the business landscape, before you know it, you get out of business and you become obsolete. So you need to get to know the tools and technologies that are new. You need to upskill your workforce to be able to apply new technologies and be able to use new tools, that are emerging. And then secondly, for innovation, because when you upskill your workforce, they're able to apply new innovations to the workplace. They're able to acquire new skills and are able to share new ideas, to the workplace and help everyone grow. And so these new ideas can be exchanged in different departments, in different sectors. So innovation is part of the importance of upskilling your workforce. We also have, you want your workforce to be effective and efficient, to bridge gaps, their knowledge gaps in their skills, to help them to be more effective and efficient at work. So it's important to upskill them continuously, because there's no end to upskilling. So continuously, you have to upskill your workforce, your employees, to help them to be effective and efficient in their work. When they're effective and efficient, what happens? It leads to productivity. The organization is more productive, and it also leads to positive effects in the bottom line. And then we also have continuity and sustainability. You're able to sustain your business and there's continuity. Some businesses collapse not because they don't have the funds, but because they have not upskilled their workforce to be able to make use of new technologies and tools. And before you know it, they're out of business. So for you to be able to sustain your workforce, to sustain your business, you need to upskill your workforce. You need to train them and continue training them to be able to make use of new technologies, to be able to make new use of skills they've acquired and apply it on the job. And then lastly, I'll say to have engaged employees. Employees remain more with you when they are fully engaged. And when you train them, they feel connected and committed to the business. And that makes them fully engaged in the work they do. They are committed psychologically. They want the best for the business because they feel you value them. That's why you are training them, and that's why you're upskilling them. So training employees keeps them engaged, keeps them committed, and retains them. It's a retention strategy as well, making them to retain, stay longer with the business, and also give their best to the business. So with these 3 points, I think we've seen why it's important to train and upskill your workforce, because when training them, you are also helping your business to grow. You're also trying to sustain your business. You're also increasing your bottom line. You're also increasing your bottom line and making your business to be sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uchenna. I feel you had so much to say within that short period of time. And I think for me, having engaged employees by training, that's so profound. And when you were speaking, Mr. Tosin, if you can relate, I recalled, I think it was Daniel, one of the previous webinars, where he was talking about how initially we would have media houses doing everything manually and all those archaic process. So Uchenna is reminding us that our employees need to adapt. She spoke about adaptability, innovation, and be current. Thank you so much, Uchenna, for such a full-packed 2 minutes. All right, so I think I would also be asking the same question to Ebon so we can also get his own inputs on this particular question.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. I'll be addressing this question from two perspectives. I'm going to look at it from the employee, the individual perspective, and also the organizational perspective. I've engaged employees, maybe new hires, times without number, and they tell you that they want to grow with the company. And by the time you want to drill down, you understand that going with the company, they are looking at maybe the financial aspect of it. So as the company is growing, then my financial resource or my financial benefits also be growing together with the company. But one thing that individuals must understand is that as company is growing in terms of advancement, in terms of expansion, in terms of new innovation, every employee must continue to grow with that company in that same progression. So if you are not, you don't have the desire or the passion or the interest or the career goal of actually improving yourself, and you see a company that is advancing steadily, and you remain the same way, you may find yourself out of that job without knowing. And most particularly for every new hire, one thing we must understand is, sometimes some of the things that were taught coming from the higher institution, you'll discover that majority of them are actually not applicable. I can maybe statistically say that maybe 70 or 80% of it may not be applicable in the corporate world. So it is expected that as you are aiming for something bigger, as you are aiming for advancement in career in terms of professional growth, you should also complement that aspiration, that desire, with the necessary skill sets that you need to actually be able to actually attain that particular goal that you're looking at. And when you look at the industry in Nigeria today, you will see that most companies, they will come to a situation whereby either they want to cut costs, and in the course of cutting their costs, they'll be looking at, okay, let's just look at it from the employee angle. And then you will now start asking yourself as an employer, okay, who are those employees that are not adding value in terms of skills, in terms of expertise, in terms of proficiency to my business? And those are the people that you want to first consider. So every employee should be able to be thinking ahead and start preparing themselves for circumstances that may take them out of job, or circumstances that may give them an opportunity for advancement. We've seen organizations that maybe want to fill a particular vacant position, and they want to look at the internal resources first. And from looking at internal resources, they want to look at those ones that have the skill sets that can actually fit into this role. So it calls for you to continually upskill yourself, so that when opportunities comes like this, you can then be able to harness it. And when we look at it from the organizational angle also, I have a case of an organization that gave a client a price for a particular consulting service. And, for that service, they billed them $100,000. And the client was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And within 5 minutes, they completed the job. And the client was like, wow, you did this job within 5 minutes. And for this, and you're invoicing me with this huge amount. And the consultant told the man, oh, well, let me give you the breakdown. $90,000 out of this invoiced amount was spent on education, upskilling myself, building expertise, so that I will be able to provide solutions to you within the minimum or the minimum number of time frame for you to actually continue with your business. So within 5 minutes that I was able to complete or solve this problem for you, I have spent hours of upskilling myself. I've spent hours of building my capacity and to become an expert on this particular service. And that's why I'm able to do it within this short time. So it's not about the time that I've used in providing that solution. It's about the fact that I've been able to do it perfectly based on my expertise that came as a result of upskilling. So both organization and the employees should continue to upskill themselves, because it is very important to both parties and to every stakeholder. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ebon, Holua, and thank you so much, Uchenna. It's so great hearing from both of you. I understand that what both of you have shared is as a result of the years of experience you have had and the experiential situations that you have actually come in contact with and what is happening. And one thing I actually love about Uchenna's response was the fact that she made mention of the sustainability part. And the truth is, for every initiative, for anything we are doing that is not actually sustainable, then actually shows we are not actually doing well. And for us to actually have a sustainable system in whatever we are doing, even from the upskilling part, there's also a need for us not to be rigid, that is to be adaptable with the ever continuous changing world, because a lot of things are happening. Even for us as learning and development expert, one thing that we have actually realized is the fact that there is no one learning and development expert that actually have this fixed solution, that is upskilling fixed solution, because you need to be open-minded. And we have actually come to realize that even on job, people tend to learn better than even before the job. Just get to your job and you already have this thought of knowing everything before you get there, and just get there, something arise and there is a need for you to upskill. And also coming back to Ebonua, I love the fact that you were able to actually simplify it, looking from the employee part and the organizational part. And looking at it from the employee part is very, very important for us to understand. I am trying to read what is on your mind, because every employee, what is on our head is actually the money, is the bag. And there is an important for us to know that it is not always easy to get the bag, where you are not always, when even you are not actually making sure that your own bag is full, that is upskilling, making sure that you are up to date, you actually have the necessary skills that can even help your organization thrive. And also for the organization, there is a need for people to invest. And that is why I'm connecting that your statement to the fact that Uchenna mentioned that this can also help retention in every organization if we actually upskill people. So I'll just be going to the personalized questions. I love this session so much. And even for me, I've been taking notes. Yeah, you see me dropping my head. I'm just trying to jot a lot of things, that is the essence where we are called learning and development experts. So this question goes to Uchenna. And the question is, in your experience, what is the key pillars of a successful organizational learning culture? Like from your own years of experience, what are those key pillars that you can say makes an organization have a learning culture that is successful from your own years of experience? And while sharing this question, I also want you to help me relate this question to the fact that these key pillars can also foster continuous upskilling and skill application even in organizational settings. So you have the floor, Uchenna. Thank you so much. You have the question is also on the chat box. Thank you so much, Antonia, for that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Tosin, for that. Okay, for you to have a successful learning culture, it has to start first with the leadership, management. You need to have management buy-in. Management needs to support your learning or training initiatives. So when management is not supporting your learning initiatives, then they're going to have, experience difficulty or have challenging times in implementing learning initiatives. So you must have your leadership, the management, supporting your learning initiatives. And how can you have this? Management needs to be part of the learning. Have management involved in your trainings. The MDs, the CEO should take part in learning programs, learning initiatives. They should participate, get involved in the learning programs. With this, that cultivating and encouraging that culture of a learning organization. And it shouldn't end at that. They should also allocate resources. They should allocate resources for learning. Most times when you have organizations that are facing difficult and challenging moments, the budget that is cut down first is the learning and development or training budget. It's being cut down. But when you have management supporting learning initiatives and rooting for a learning organization, they wouldn't do that. They will allocate resources for learning. They will allocate resources for training. And so that makes it a learning organization and makes the employees know that, yes, they support learning and they're encouraging learning. And then also having learning, training initiatives that are in line with organizational objectives. Ensure employees are in line with organizational objectives, in the sense that whatever skills the employees are being upskilled for are gaps that will help them to, at the end of the day, we affect the productivity of the organization. So you don't just send employees to upskill just to tick your boxes to say, yes, I've trained them. No, train them for skills that are relevant to the organization, skills that will make them more effective and efficient on the job, skills that at the end of the day will affect their productivity, make them more productive, more effective, and more efficient. And then also looking at personalized learning, ensuring that you train employees with skills that will help them develop and build their career. Because everybody has a career projection, you have dreams of what you want to do. So when you have your employees training, build their career for their career growth, career development, is a way of also encouraging them to upskill more and participate in the training initiative. Then lastly, I'll talk about having your employees have community of learning, organizing symposiums, having learning and training sessions. Some organizations have learning sessions at every meeting, that you have employees taking turns to make presentations of, some learning points they have done during the week, or maybe an online training they've come across during the week. So during their meetings, you have a roster that employees take turns to make presentations of what they have learned. With this, you are building a learning culture. You're encouraging your employees to keep on learning, enroll them into different online platform learnings, enroll them into community collaborative learnings that they can learn on the go, that can learn at their own pace, they can train, and then encourage and reward employees who take their time to upskill themselves. Reward them, you can give them bonuses, some certificates or public acknowledgement for what they have done, that they've taken time to upskill themselves. With that, you're encouraging others and also motivating them to continue learning. So with that, the organization, everyone is learning to be abreast and to acquire skills continuously. So to encourage learning and make your organization a learning organization, you have to find ways to encourage, reward those who learn and apply their skills at work. You have to make sure your management executives have a buy-in into your learning initiatives, and you should participate in learning programs and support learning initiatives. You should also encourage peer-to-peer support from colleagues, from employees, that they support each other, share ideas, share the experiences, have platforms where they can ask questions, where they can, share what they're experiencing at work and all that. So with this, you find that your employees will be committed. You find that everyone wants to share something new and wants to learn something new at work. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Uchenna. This session is actually a very, very insightful one. I must tell you that I have a lot of jottings. So while you were actually answering this question, I was actually thinking in one direction. Why is Uchenna not mentioning allocation of resources as the first point, while she was giving points? I know you have about 6 points mentioned. But for me, I actually noticed it is actually true that for a learning culture to thrive in any organization, you must have the management involved. It is even evident that every system where management are actually involved tends to thrive better than those that management are not involved, because they have to be at the forefront. They will be willing, they want to take ownership of it. So the question now is for every one of us, or even for our audience watching us, is to actually now try to see how we can get management involved in all of this, in all of this upskilling learning in every organization. And to even think that when management are involved, there is every tendency that you get the right resources, that is, allocation of resources will be very, very effective. But when they are not involved in the system, you should be so sure that there is going to be a staggering situation. I also love the part that you mentioned personalized learning, reward. There is a need for motivation. Learning is not as easy as that, but we have some employees who are actually going extra mile, and they're actually doing this while they're trying to actually upskill themselves. They also have the organization at mind so that they can actually be able to solve some of those important tasks they have before them at the organization. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a win-win situation for both the employee and also the organization. Thank you so much, Uchenna. So I'll be going to Ebonua for the next question. Just like I said, this session is very, very insightful, and I'm learning so much. Ebonua, leveraging on your experience with various client types, how can learning and development department work collaboratively with other departments within an organization? For instance, how can the L&D department work with maybe HR department, some other departments to create a culture of continuous learning and skill application? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tosi. Let me start by saying that organizations need to come to the understanding that we are now in the new normal now is continuous learning. So learning is not just a one-time thing. It has to be continuous, majorly because the industry is changing, the environment is changing. I know Shana mentioned that during when she started a conversation that a lot of things are changing. So for you to actually be able to manage the change and adapt to the changes in the industry, there must be continuous learning. And that's why we're talking about having a learning culture whereby everyone is involved in learning. And one of the major things that is very important when it comes to collaborating with other departments, and I must also say this, that L&D professionals, L&D departments, L&D representatives, whichever structure that you adopt in your organization, you must come to the understanding that L&D is not an independent entity. We must co-dependent with other departments. There must be an handshake with other departments, so that when there is a case of, for example, there's a case of you getting a software that will help employees to continue to learn and they can subscribe to it from time to time, you can easily have the buy-in of the finance department and say, okay, we need to pay for this software because of this benefit and this benefit, and finance are they accepting that request immediately and they're actually buying into that. And so we must co-dependent with other departments. And I will give a practical example. Particularly when it comes to HR departments, I know some organizations, learning and development is embedded in their HR operations. Some of them, they have a training academy separate. Some of them, they have a learning and development executive managing learning and development under the HR structure. But one thing we must understand is it must be embedded into the HR process. I'll give an example. When I was working with one of the big four companies, one of the things that we did was to establish a policy document whereby every employee, part of your appraisal period or part of your appraisal components, is for you to have a number of learning hours in a financial year. So if this is a part of your appraisal component, as an HR officer, you know that when you are evaluating or appraising this employee, this person must have attained this number of learning hours within that financial year. So if you have 100 hours of learning hours, it gives the employees, it becomes a culture that, oh, I must achieve this 100 hours if I want to be part of to be considered positively when it comes to the appraisal period. So if there's that handshake between the learning and development and the HR process, and they have accepted this, it makes it easier for this culture to be actually embedded and everybody buys into it automatically. And also in the policy documents, there should be sanctions approved by management. So we've seen cases where head of departments of other functional departments will exempt their team members from training programs because they have a particular project that they must complete. So management must understand that as important as a client project is, same level of importance should be attached to learning. Because if the expertise is not built in that employee, there is no way we can service the clients effectively and the client will be satisfied. So there must be a policy document that sanctions everybody so that the head of department, for example, will not easily exempt their team members from certain training programs. So it becomes a compulsory that before you can be excused from this training program that have been allocated to you, you must get some level of approvals, which I know some employees will not want to go to that extent. So because of that, they will be forced to actually want to go to that learning. So policy document is one very important tool that helps every department to actually collaborate more with the learning and development team. It helps the culture to be built and sustained over time. Because if you don't have some of these policy documents, you will start it, but the continuity and the sustainability of that process is what will be affected. But this policy document will help in actually achieving this. And some of the things we've seen in other companies today, we will say something like learning and development business partner. Just like we have HR business partner, today we have learning and development business partner. So every unit, they have a learning and development personnel that works closely with them, that helps them to understand and identify some of their departmental needs. And a training program will be designed to address those needs. So it brings that close relationship between every functional unit and the learning and development department. Also, we've seen cases of the learning and development building a faculty that cuts across all departments. It makes the department also to be part and parcel of the process. So we are not just bringing a consultant or a resource person from the external environment of the organization, but we are also using internal resources. So if I'm using the head of department of finance, for example, to drive a conversation on financial skill for all employees, you will see that every member of that department will take that training program seriously, because the head of department is the one facilitating that program. Then you see every team members also being forced to actually be part of that training, because they see their number one person as part of that training. So the management, in terms of participation in training, the management must continuously see themselves as the forerunner of driving other team members to actually be part of that culture that we're trying to build. And this actually brings about some level of collaboration between the learner development and every other functional unit, and even the management when it comes to building collaboration in the system. I think I will stop there for now.
Wow, wow, wow. So great, so great. It's so nice hearing all of this from you, Ebonlua. And just like while you are trying to summarize all of those things you have said, there is also an intersection between what you have said and what Uchenna have said earlier, where we are actually emphasizing management at the core, that is at the center of all that is to happen in an organization that is to thrive in this global space. And I love the fact that you also mentioned policy document, because when there is no policy document, there is not we won't have a light. There is no guide. People won't be able to, it will be difficult to actually hold people to certain words, because there is no policy document that is actually guiding what you are saying or what you are trying to implement. And like I said, I have a friend recently who was actually sharing some of his, overwhelming moment with me, saying, I've been so engaged with work activities in the last 10 months, and I've not even been able to upskill myself. So it's coming back to what you are just saying now. That's like a reinforcement that there are moments where staffs, employees are actually so engaged with client projects, and they're not trying to upskill themselves. And when you don't upskill yourself, how do you want to actually live to target? How do you want to meet up with some of those demand from the from the space? And so I love that every one of us, we are coming to the conclusion that there needs to be synergy between the management and every other team in order to make sure that learning is sustainable in every organization, and employees have the right value they are actually looking for retention in every organization. So with that, just like I mentioned when we started, that is a gender balance system. 2 moderator, female and male, 2 panelists, female and male. So I'll give the floor to Antonia to actually do justice to the next question. Thank you, Antonia.
Amazing. Thank you, Mr. Tosin. Like you said, I've been trying to take notes. We also work in the learning department, so it's really amazing to also hear from other experts in the field, their opinions, and my note is quite full at the moment. As Ebonlua was sharing his thoughts, we had a member of our community share a question, but we hope we have enough time to address their question. I will just move on with the panelist discussion. But if you have questions, please kindly just paste them to the group chat, and hopefully either the group chat or here live on Zoom, hopefully we get enough time to tackle these questions. So I'm going to be addressing this next question. It's so interesting to Uchenna. Uchenna spoke so much about the importance of policymakers being involved in upskilling, right? So amazing. Okay, so now that's a perspective. This is another perspective through the lens of this question. He said, and many organizations express concern about investing in upskilling initiatives due to the potential for employees to leave after acquiring new skills. From a learning and development perspective, what strategies can organizations implement to create a win-win situation, fostering a culture of continuous learning while also encouraging employees' retention after upskilling?
Yeah, thank you, Antonia. This question has always been the challenge when it comes to upskilling and training employees that want to make investments in their employees. But that fear is always there, that when I spend this amount, upskilling my employees and they eventually leave, what happens? Who loses? So to create this win-win, organizations should start first, right from inception. Have a career pattern for your employees. Let employees know their career path. That, okay, joining this organization, when I obtain this skill, get to this level, I'll be promoted. There's a career path for me that I can get to become a director after having these years of experience, or after acquiring these certifications, or getting upskilled to this level. So when the employee knows that, yes, I can grow in this organization, then that fear of leaving wouldn't be there. Sometimes they don't see a future for themselves in the organization. That's why the fear, they want to leave. But when you make it known from the beginning that this is your career path, from this level, you move to this level, you get to this level, when you acquire this skill and you get this promotion and all that. So employees understand their career journey with your organization. So it's a way of retaining them even after upskilling them. So you get that win-win from them, because at the end of the day, they're acquiring skills and also they're coming back to apply what they've learned on the job. And at the end of the day, your business is becoming productive and everyone is happy. That creates that win-win. And then secondly, have a tailored-made, learning program. Don't just send everyone go for this particular training, whether you need it or not. You're sending a whole department for a training. And someone you're sending for that particular training will already have that skill and don't need that particular training. So personalize your training. Let it be skills that the employee needs to be effective and efficient on the job. So that will help them to be able to apply the skills when they come back. To be like an upskilling, to be motivating for them because they're acquiring something new. It's not something they already know. Because sometimes you find employers just having this bulk training, all the departments go for this training, the entire organization go for a particular training. At the end of the day, it's beneficial for some, it's a skill they already know. But when you personalize trainings, it helps to motivate and retain the employees because this training is tailored to them, to the specific gaps they have in their skills and knowledge. And at the end of the day, they're able to apply it in the organization and the organization benefits from it. Then another thing, again, when it comes to retaining employees, when you reward them for upskilling, when you reward your employees for the skills they've acquired, public recognition, not giving them bonuses, promotions, and all that, it helps to retain them. Some employees upskill and when they come back, life is normal. There's no opportunity to even apply the skills they've learned. There's no recognition, nothing happens. So when you recognize them for the skills they've learned, give them the opportunity to apply them, assign them to projects that will help them to apply those skills they've learned. It motivates them, it keeps them, motivated and engaged, and give them challenging projects that will make them happy at the end of the day. When they achieve these projects, they feel motivated to even do more, to upskill more. And so with that, you get a win-win. And then also attaching them to mentors and coaches who can help them to see them through, to ensure they apply the skills they have learned. Sometimes when people learn new skills and they don't get to apply it, they don't feel happy because the skills are not applied and they look for somewhere else where they can apply it. So create that enabling environment, give them the tools, the technologies, what they need to be able to apply the skills they have learned. And so with that, they can retain and remain with the organization. But when they've acquired a new skill and there's no opportunity to apply it, and then you find them looking for elsewhere where they can apply it. And then when they also acquire new skills, there should be a way of elevating them. That if they acquired a new skill, elevate them. give them the opportunity, give them an increment, maybe an increase in salary, some bonus, some incentive. That will also encourage others who have not acquired any skill to motivate them. Oh, somebody got something for learning something new. Let me also learn something new to also, get some incentive or some bonus or kind of promotion and all that. So with this, you can see that you can retain your employees because it's a win-win. Everyone wants to learn something new. You want to remain relevant in your industry. You want to remain relevant in the workplace. So you need to upskill. Likewise, employers want the best hands in the business. They want to upskill their employees so they can remain relevant in business and be competitive. So it's a win-win for both employers and employees. So if only employers and employees, we understand it from that point of view, that when you are being upskilled, you're expected to bring back the skills and apply it to the organization and not moving to use the skill elsewhere where you'll be highly paid or something, something like that. So it should be an understanding between employers and employees to have that win-win understanding. When you're sent for training, you can come back and apply the skills learned from the training. I guess I have to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uchenna. So much
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you clearly. Thank you so much for that. I feel this should be some sort of a master class because we're having to rush everything in just a few minutes. I was trying to take notes. You spoke about transparency, and also I want to give a quick shout out to Ibrahim. Ibrahim, thank you for sharing your insight with us on the group chat. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Ali. So back to Uchenna. Thank you so much. You spoke so much about transparency and how true. I'm going to minimize recounting your words so that we have enough time to address as much questions as possible within the remaining 7 minutes that we have. So I'm just quickly going to ask Ebonluwa this next set of questions. So Uchenna already started giving us some sort of introduction to this when she talked about how important it is for organizations to give specific tailored programs based on the needs of their staff, not just generalizing and marking the register that, oh, we organized an upskilling program for our staffs, but actually identifying the needs of their staffs and then adequately designing a program to cater their needs. So how can effective upskilling start with understanding the specific needs of the organization and its employees? So now the question is, can you walk us through very briefly the process for conducting a comprehensive training needs assessment to identify the most relevant skills employees need to upskilling? Following that, how does your approach to program design translate those identified needs into engaging and effective training programs that promote skill application? I'm trying to do rush hour now, but you can always refer to the question on the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Antonia, for that question. We must first understand that need assessments should be properly cascaded. I remember I hear Uchenna mention some employees are trained, and before you know it, they jackpot to another country. So we must be able to cascade needs in the proper dimension so that every stakeholder's needs are met, both the individual employees, the organizational needs, the departmental needs. So we must understand the proper flow of needs assessments. And that's why the needs assessments is basically into 3 angles. We have the company needs assessment, the company level assessment, the departmental level, and the employee level itself. When we look at the company needs, we're looking at, okay, what's the industry? What are the competency skills that is required to operate in this industry? I must tell you something. And one of the things I'm always talking about when I engage with business owners or L&D directors and other professionals in the industry is for us to establish some kind of competency framework for our company. What are those competency skills that every member of every employee in this organization should have based on the objective of our business, based on what we are providing. What are those competency skills? So we must first look at the company needs assessment first, and then look at it from the angle of what the industry needs. What are those extra skills that we should give ourselves, apart from what is generally obtainable in the industry, that will give this company some kind of competitive advantage over others in this same industry? And then let us look at, okay, what are those expected changes that may want to come up? And what are those skills that we can actually establish to help us address those possible changes that may occur in the industry? Then we cannot look at what is the departmental needs themselves, look at what are those things that my department needs to be able to operate, because we have different departments in an organization. Finance, the skills will be different from the marketing skill gaps that we require. So we look at those departmental skills, then we can come down to the individual employees' needs. Now, in terms of needs assessment, particularly for the employees, there are so many ways through which you can actually get some of this feedback. And one of them, one major one, is the appraiser feedback form. So every appraiser should be able to identify some required training needs for this employee. There was gaps that would have occurred in the course of that period of appraisal, either 6 months appraisal or quarterly appraisal or yearly appraisal. There were skill gaps that would have been discussed between the employee and the supervisor or the team leader or the head of department that would help that employee to be able to perform better. Now we have just completed the first 6 months appraisal. What extra skills do you think you need to be able to perform better? What were those gaps that hindered you from achieving the set targets in the previous period? What are those things we can do better to help you be able to achieve those skills? Those gaps will be identified during the appraisal period. Now, continuous observation, that's why we talk about number 2, which is observation, is very, very important. I will give an example. An email was sent in a company some time ago, and it was a policy document for everyone to sign, and it was sent to all staff. I was surprised when I saw some employees, when they signed and they wanted to revert back, they copied everybody in that email trail. And I told myself, I think we need to do some email etiquette training for these people, because there are some documents that you should know that you should not copy everybody in that mail trail. So those observed gaps are things that speaks to the kind of training program that must be apportioned. And that's why we are trying to talk about learning culture. There are some skills that, or there are some gaps that is not general, it is not for everybody. It is for just some identified people. You can quickly say, okay, we have this e-learn, we have this online training, quickly allocate it to this particular person based on this observed gap in his performance. So it's not for everybody. We have been able to observe that only few actually had deficiency in this skill. So let's apply it to these ones. And that's why we must have a learning culture. So observation is very, very key. From the L&D personnel, from the supervisors, from the HODs, from the management, moment you have observed some gaps in the skill, in the culture, in the behavior. And that's why we must also understand that learn and development has gone beyond just skill. It has gone beyond just knowledge. There are attitude also that are fine-tuned as a result of L&D. So I know it's going to take a while for us to, I know we are conscious of time. Okay, Antonia, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Edmoilua. Thank you so much. So much packed within these few minutes. And Mr. Tosin, I know you're laughing. I know it's already 6 o'clock, and I know we like respecting the time of all our guests. But if we can just quickly answer this question. A question was asked earlier on from one of our community member, and he said Edmoilua mentioned spending hours upskilling to handling tasks with speed. How can I upskill myself while being in a full 9-to-5 job? I would like if any of the panelists can answer me. Please, if you can just answer these questions in within 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, so there are a lot of online learning today, and that's why we're trying to just build continuous learning. There are a lot of online learning today that you can actually give yourself some kind of timeline that, okay, I'm going to complete this course within the next 1 or 2 weeks, and I'm going to spend at least 30 minutes to pick something out. We have a lot of online platforms, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, where you can actually identify some skills, some learning programs, and then you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to, and these programs have actually been broken down. They have been sectioned in small sections, small minutes to help you actually keep on learning something. So even while on the move, even while doing certain things, there are audio learnings that you can actually keep upskilling yourself. You cannot afford not to learn something. Even though you're working 9 to 5, you cannot afford not to upskill yourself. That is not an excuse, because you find yourself in the industry that you are far behind where you should be moving with the way industry is moving. So there are a lot of platforms for you to keep learning, audio versions that you can also put your earpiece and you keep learning while on the job.
So much. I don't know if Uchenna has a different view to that within just 1 minute.
Okay, it's the same view, really, with what Ebonua has just said. One thing, you can't give an excuse because you have a 9 to 5, you cannot upskill. The question is, do you want to remain relevant? You want to remain relevant in your industry, in your whatever role you are playing. You want to remain effective and efficient on the job, then you need to make that sacrifice to upskill. You need to create time management, that's all you need. And as Ebonua has said, there are little bite-sized learnings that you can go for. Learning has been, divided into small chunks that you can do on the go at your own pace, at little time. So there won't be any pressure that you must finish it in one week, 1 month. Take your time and learn and upskill. And with time, before you know it, you are done with it. And the motivation when you are done with one will be motivated to go ahead to do more. So when you just start with one, at the end of the day, you find yourself doing more and learning more and continuously learning. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'll just pick the tagline of Uchenna, which says you can't give the excuse that there is no time. And I'll also like to tip in that at Echo Institute of Technology, we offer flexible learning to fit your busy schedule. And I'll just be giving the mic over to Mr. Oluwatosin. Yes, watch out. We'll be having recaps from this session on our social media platform. The beautiful Bimpe has already shared our social media link, so you can just click on that, click to join the community. We'll also be sharing excerpts from this webinar to just keep you updated. And of course, you can follow our speakers on their various social media platforms, and I'm sure they'll be more than glad to give you a mentoring hand. So over to you, Mr. Oluwatosin. It's been a pleasure to be on call with you today, sir. You appear to be muted at the moment.
All right. Thank you so much, Ebon. And thank you so much, Uchenna. This is a very, very insightful session. Even for me as a learning and development expert, I've learned so much from here. And just to add to the question one of the audience asked, something happened with us at the Eco Institute of Technology through research. We're trying to do a lot of things. People say they want to upskill, but they don't have the time. I can actually relate with somebody asking 9 to 5. It's most times it's not, it's not so easy. Some people want to learn, and when they are learning, they want all their attention on the learning material or whatever they are learning that something. So what we did was to actually tell these guys, you want to learn with us. What we can do is we can actually create your own learning such that it is only those coming from your company that will actually be in that cohort. And how do we do that? They actually fix their own learning time to be days that they will have off in their company. So let's say on Wednesday, they won't be on duty. We actually structure their own classes to be on those days. So one thing I will encourage that people do, and people in the learning and development expert also do, is to actually try to accommodate people to look at how learning can be flexible and how it can be reachable to everyone. And that is one thing that Eco Institute of Technology actually stands for. So with that, I want to bring to a close this session. It's beyond 6 o'clock already, and I don't like us spending too much time. Antenna is already saying I love managing time. But that's part of the skills now. We have to learn how to manage time. Thank you so much, Uchenna, for this session. Thank you so much, Ebolua. It's so super grateful to have both of you on this call today. And I'm so sure that even our audience have actually, learned a lot from this session. I'm looking forward to other sessions with you guys. I'll be boozing you. I'll be following up with you. Maybe one day we'll be actually organizing like a masterclass session where people will actually come to learn and actually get a lot of insight from all of those things we have. Thank you. Until we actually have another time to actually be with both of you, we're actually looking at those moments. Thank you so much, Antonia.
Nobody has told you thank you, Tosin. Thank you, Tosin, too, for being an amazing co-host. And of course, thank you to our beautiful audience we made today such an amazing, amazing time. Thank you, Tosin.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
You.
Bye, everybody.
You.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.